Hello, this is Bobby D. Welcome back to my video channel, and we'll be looking today at the city of Jerusalem. You've already seen some of our prior videos where we went from Tel Aviv here in the map and down to the Dead Sea area and saw Masada and Qumran and the Dead Sea and got to walk on the salt rock covered beaches of the Dead Sea. And then we went back into Jerusalem and you saw Bethlehem, the Church of the Nativity. If you haven't seen those, please check those videos out. Today we're going to be looking at the city of Jerusalem, and we'll be seeing the Church of the Sepulcher, and we'll be seeing the Via Deolorosa and the Wailing Wall. Here you're seeing from the Mount of Olives, looking down on the city of Jerusalem. You can see the golden dome of the rock, and in near center of screen, and to the left there's another black dome of another mosque and around the western wall. And this is an incredible view of the city of Jerusalem. For me, it's my absolute favorite view of Jerusalem, looking down from the Mount of Olives. Well, as we come back out of Bethlehem, we again had to pass security, and the military guards came through the bus again, and we were instructed just to keep looking forward and not say anything, and they walked through and looked at everybody and walked out the back of the bus, and then we were permitted to continue on our way. As we drove through the streets of Jerusalem, you still encounter these types of sites where the military was on guard, and as you can see in that picture, they're armed and they mean business. No questions about what they're trying to do and protect the safety of the people. As we drove along, this is some of the sights that you'll see just going along the highway. And the next to the streets, you'll see something like this. This is over by the Western Wall, and the excavations are still going on. We're not sure that this was street construction or they were taking the topsoils off in order to do archaeological work down the road. Here is that mosque that I told you about. You can see here they've constructed staircase so you can get over the archaeological sites and not disrupt those, and still yet get to the mosque itself. Here is another picture of that mosque up closer. Excuse me. When you move on from the mosque, driving down along in front of the Western Wall again, you see more sites of excavations where they have unearthed the historical past of the city of Jerusalem. Here's a picture of the wall itself. It actually extends quite a ways along the area. The part where the Jewish people come to pray is just a small section of the wall, and it is located around a huge courtyard that used to be a residential area, but years ago it was flattened out and made into this courtyard in order to be able to utilize the Western Wall as a place of veneration and prayer. This is an entrance into the old city of Jerusalem, and you see the cars coming through, but if you don't live in the old city, you're not allowed to put a vehicle in that city. It's strictly for residents only. So we had to do some walking, and here is our guide showing us the direction to go. Got his sign up there, so when we see that sign, we know we're headed in the right direction and stay with him. Another picture as we're getting closer to the Church of the Sepulcher, and Church of the Sepulcher is an interesting phenomenon, I guess. Here's a little bit of history of it, and if you want to pause the video to read it all, you can. As we move closer in, you see some of the crosses that are up on the top of the building, and here is a statue at the front of the building. And again, so a little bit more of the history of the Church of the Sepulcher. And as we get closer, this is what we had to walk through. So I'll put it on now, and I'll try not to talk over the audio. We're walking down the street to the Church of the Holy Sepulcher, and we'll be viewing that shortly.
So sweet. He goes, because I got wine for one of my associates, and he goes, I'll put in the back of the street.
It was quite a walk down the street here, and the vendors were on both sides of the street.
We have the Christian quarter, we have the Armenian.
I'll go down the step.
All right,
The Jewish quarter, and we have the
Still walking down the area toward the Church of the Sepulcher.
We're going to walk inside, we're going to make the right turn, we want to see the place of the crucifixion first, Calvary, Golgotha. Then we can see the...
We are on the top of Golgotha and waiting our turn to see where Jesus was crucified and where his body was actually claimed. And we are among many who are trying to be where our Savior was.
We are inside the Church of the Holy Sepulcher now. No. This is more information about the Church of the Sepulcher and the Via Deolorosa. Here are some pictures that are stills from the inside of the church after seeing that video, and it is an amazing location. We're now heading down toward the Via Deolorosa, and here are some of the sights that we see as we walk along. It's a really narrow location, and I assume that this is a handicapped accommodation along the Via Deolorosa with steps on the left side. They caused me some problems because with my diminishing vision, I needed to put my hand on Cheryl and let her lead the way in order to know exactly where the steps were going up. We were in the midst of a crowd, and this was lucky to get this picture that is more open. As we walked along, the the Via Dolorosa. We also saw a lot of shops and vendors that were there. Not sure what this guy was smoking, but it was right there along the Via Deolorosa. Our guide told us that this section of the pavement that was on the Via Deolorosa was original from the 1st century. It looks pretty modern to me, but I'm not an expert, so I took his word for it. As you're walking along the Via Deolorosa, it's just amazing to see all the vendors that are selling, and the sense of the sacred is not so much present in the midst of the crowds of the city of Jerusalem. As you can see here, it has Via Dolorosa, and that's in Hebrew and Aramaic, and can't tell if that's Latin or it almost sounds like Spanish to me, but you never know. These are the Stations of the Cross, and I couldn't get all 14 of them, but here are some, and they have plaques up on the walls and a bit of a sculpture that's put up there along with them, and then a short description of what you're actually seeing as you move along the various stations of the cross. This one, as you can see over here on the right above the door, that this is supposedly the location where Simon of Cyrene picked up the cross and carried it for Jesus. And as we continue walking, it looks like the same part of the Via Dolorosa, but this is actually going over toward the Western Wall and called the Wailing Wall. Here's the first picture of the huge courtyard that has been created to be a location where literally tens of thousands of people gather on sacred holy days for the Jewish nation and participate in worship there. An additional picture. You'll see, well, it's kind of far away, but you have a definite separation because the men are going to the wall and praying on the left side of the screen, and on the right side of the screen is a spot that's set aside for the women to go in and preach. Go in and take a look at the sites and to approach the wall and pray. Another picture of that area, and again we have at the outskirts of the courtyard is this fountain, which is a place where you can do a ritual washing of your hands and be prepared to approach the wall and begin your times of prayer. Another picture of the wall, and again you can see the larger blocks at the bottom, which is the older construction of the wall, and you can see that again here. The further up you get, the smaller the blocks are, and they told us that the ones at the bottom were probably from the construction around the time of Herod and Herod's temple. And another interesting thing I discovered on there is this pedestal that was out just in the middle of the courtyard. There were some chairs around it and some small tables, so I guess you could sit down and read or do whatever you wanted. But this is actually a copy of the Torah, and I am confident that many of the Jews took the time to stand at that pedestal and read through the scriptures of the day. This is on the left side of the courtyard, right next to the wall. And when you go through this tunnel, or through this gate into the tunnel, it's underground, and it brings you closer to the actual site of the temple, although you're about 150 feet below the temple. And they have created some areas in there where you can spend some time in prayer and in worship. Here's a picture of Cheryl at the wall, and you can see the size of the blocks on the lower sections of the wall. Definitely an interesting transition as you move from the lower blocks to the larger blocks. This is a video of the courtyard. What you don't see on most TV programs of the Wailing Wall are all these buildings that are on the other side of the courtyard where the Wailing Wall is located, and that is amazing, and that's the Wailing Wall again. Well, after the Wailing Wall, we drove back to the port in Haifa. We had to go a different route because at that time they were doing some political demonstrations, and they had closed the freeway or the highway that we came up from Haifa to Jerusalem, and had to take another trip back. When we got back to the boat, we were a bit late, and fortunately we were on one of the cruise sponsored tours, so they waited for us, and when we got on the ship they immediately pulled the gangplank in, and we were probably the last two people to get on board the ship before it left. We went up to the top, and this is a nighttime view of Haifa. And with that, we'll close this video. We hope you'll be joining us in future videos. Again, thank you for watching. We appreciate when you do, and if you like it, we appreciate that thumbs up that you can put on the screen. And then we'd also like you to subscribe, and after subscribing you can hit the bell and it'll notify you of upcoming videos. And then please put a comment on the page, and I'd be happy to try and respond, and it does help me understand how to make a better video for all of you to watch and enjoy. Thank you again. We'll see you the next time.